I'm joined on Football CFB today by a player who I absolutely loved watching when I was growing up playing the Premier League. He was a player who will be synonymous to Blackburn Rovers fans listening to this, but has also had an incredibly successful career in his native Norway, over 80 caps for his country and a league title to boot as well. That man is Morten Gamst Pedersen. Morten, thanks for joining me.
No, thank you for being here.
The first question I've got for you is about Blackburn Rovers. I mean, you came through at Tromsø, you made your name there, you were playing really good football there. What attracted you to Blackburn Rovers?
First of all, it was a dream to play in the Premier League in England, from I was like just a small kid, running around in the garden where I was born and everything. But of course, first step in my career was to play on the top level in Norway, and of course it was a dream. But after some good performance for the Tromsø and the national team, then there was some few clubs from the Premier League that was watching me, and in the end, I think Blackburn was the perfect place to go to for get time on the pitch.
And in terms of Tromsø, how much did they play in your development before you arrived at Blackburn?
Of course, it was a lot. I was doing really well in my hometown, and then I went to Tromsø. Of course, when you get the chance to play with better players and you get the chance to develop as a player, and I get into the youth team, the under-21 national team, and those kind of things, and get a little bit international experience as well. So that helps a lot. And when I get into the first team, the national team as well, then I was trying to play against one of the best players, and then the gap to fill into the Premier League was smaller, but of course it was a big difference from Norway.
And when you arrive at Blackburn, what was your first impressions of the club and your teammates when you start training with them?
It was almost like black and white, and coming from Tromsø and get into a Premier League club, all the facilities and the players and everything. But I just tried to keep focus, and do my best. But of course, you feel you're a little bit nervous and those kind of things, because you get big players, two guy and been captain and did ever so well in the World Cup and those kind of things. You get Brad Friedel and but it was a very, very big moment for me.
When you signed for the club, Graham Souness was the manager. What was it like when you speak to someone like him, who's a legend of football?
First time I spoke to him was actually, we played Rosenborg home, the Dean Saunders, and him came up to watch me play, and we did really well. We beat them 4-1, and that was probably the game they decided they want to buy me. And I got a chance to meet him after the game. But of course, Graham Souness, he got a big name. He's a legendary player and manager. So of course, but I didn't have him. I only had him for 48 hours at Blackburn.
You mentioned the fact you only have him for a short period, because Mark Hughes very quickly comes in. What was it like when Mark Hughes arrived at the club?
Mark Hughes had if you can see the clubs he played in, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Manchester United, it's top-notch clubs and everything, and he had a really good spell at Blackburn as well. So he had a big star in all the fans' eyes. And when he came, I was, of course, a little bit nervous and excited because we get a new manager. But in the beginning, it was hard for me because I didn't play too much in the beginning. But we had a really good relationship, and we spoke to each other and what I should be better on and working and those kind of things. And in the end, I had probably one of my best spells as a football player under him.
You mentioned the fact you have a really good spell under him. One of the games I've got to ask you about, it comes in your second season. You scored 2 goals against Manchester United at Old Trafford in a 2-1 victory over Sir Alex Ferguson's Manchester United. Just sum up that day.
Yeah, interesting day. I think it was the 24th of September 2005, if I remember right. And it was a special day. We had my family over. I actually rented the Solskjaer's box for that game because my father is a Man U fan. And because we had all the players, and it was nice to do something special. So I was lucky to get that from Ollie, and yeah, probably one of my most remarkable games I ever done. So we did really well. We went to Old Trafford to attack. We didn't go there to defend for a point or something. I still remember, Mark, you said we were going for 3 points, so we're going to attack them, and that's what we did from the first kick on the ball, and it was a really fun game to watch. I watched the game many times after, and there could have been more goals both ways.
And in terms of your technique, you were known as a player. As I say, I fondly remember you when I was growing up of scoring spectacular goals. Just how hard did you work at your technique?
I was practicing a lot on shooting and different kind of shooting, volleys, half volleys, set pieces, all kind of things. And that was a little bit of my trademark, crossing and those kind of things. So my main force was my left foot. My right foot is still working. So sometimes when people went too hard on my left, I can just, drag it back on my right, and I had loads of space. So but many hours from I was a small kid that was shooting just on the wall, on the house, back and forth, and I kicked everything. If I was walking around, I can kick a stone, I can, everything. So it's been loads of practicing, and I think it's important because you learn the technique, how to hit the ball, and the worst thing if you start rushing when you're going to do things, then it's easy to miss the ball.
I mentioned the game against Manchester United in particular because that season you got to the League Cup semi-finals. You also finished 6th in the Premier League, which, when you consider where Blackburn are now, it's an incredible achievement. What was it like playing that season with the likes of Craig Bellamy in attack? Is that the dream of someone like you who's a creative midfielder when you've got a player who is so good at getting in behind defences?
Of course, it was perfect for me to have a fast player like Bellis to run in behind and everything. I think I had quite a lot of assists to him that season as well. So but we had a strong team, together. We were a team. We had some good individuals as well, but first and foremost, we were a very strong team. Everybody backed each other and worked hard. So I think, and we were very good. We were fit, very fit. So it was no team that was running over us. Almost every, last 20 minutes, we were in charge of the game because we had the stamina to keep going more than 90 minutes.
When you look at that season as well, I mean, you look at the midfield players that the club had: Brett Emerton, Robbie Savage, yourself, Stephen Reid, Aaron McQuaina, Two-Guy, David Bentley, Sergio Peter. There was a lot of competition in that midfield. Is that what you think helped develop not only yourself, but everyone around you in that midfield to strive to be better every week?
Of course, you knew that if you don't take a chance, there's going to be loads of people waiting for the chance to, if you not do the job properly or those kind of things. And but we did some changes. Sometimes depends who we were playing against. And at the time we had some really good players, and it's a luxury problem if you're going to see it that way. But first and foremost, we were a strong team and we were pushing each other in training. I think that's kept the level high in training and of course during the games.
One of the things that I want to ask you about is your incredible goal against Fulham. One goal of the month on Match of the Day, which is the biggest football show here in the UK. Be honest, see when you score a goal like that, do you tune into Match of the Day on the Saturday evening to see it again?
Yeah, I actually watched the goal, I have to be honest. But Tuga scored a fantastic goal as well in that game. So but I think the whole setup for the goal, the way we played on the right with Lucas Neal, Brett Emmett, and Shefki Kuchi, and the funny thing was that Shefki Kuchi is probably the only time he put a cross in that I've ever seen that actually hit a player, and he couldn't be any better. And I get a great ball and I strike it ever so well, and it's nice to see when they go in the crossbar and the back of the net.
I mentioned Craig Bellamy earlier, who again was a player you absolutely loved playing with because of his pace in behind. But another striker I've got to ask you about is Benny McCarthy, because when he came to Blackburn, he was extraordinary. And was he another player that you liked assisting because he would make those runs in behind?
Of course, they were very not similar kind of player. Bellows was very fast and direct and skillful, but Benny was more like a link-up player as well, but maybe a smart to play in that way because he didn't have the pace. He could do like all kind of things with the ball, and so good to keep the ball up as well. I like to play with both, and my relationship with Benny was very good outside the pitch as well. So we had loads of fun together when we played, and yeah, I've been lucky with the type of strikers I played with, you know. So we had even like Rocky Santa Cruz, Jason Roberts, Jakubu, you know, yeah. So I've been lucky that way, but it's nice for me to give assist means the same as scoring a goal.
That's something that it's interesting you mentioned that, because I've been lucky enough to speak to a few of your former teammates recently. Zurab Kishnasvili, Brad Friedel, I spoke to those guys in recent weeks, and when we talked about that Blackburn team, you were one of the players they mentioned in terms of being a team player and wanting to contribute to the team wherever possible. What was it like playing with the senior pros in the team? I mentioned Brad Friedel there, but the likes of Brett Emerton, who was a great player as well, and Tugai, who we've already mentioned. And just on Tugai, what was he like in training? Because when you watched him on a Saturday, he was sensational.
Yeah, Tugai was a funny character, you know. I learned so much from Tugai, and I was 1 year in Turkey to play it as well, so I spoke to him even when I went there, and the whole family, you know. He was just a fantastic character. You could see he loved football, you know. In training, he could do all sort of things, so he can just relax. So, you know, but when it was game day, he turned up, and he could almost, if he could always get the ball to talk sometimes, you know. The way he saw the game and the passes he played was unbelievable. Even sometimes when I run, yeah, I thought he's not going to see me, but suddenly the ball just arrived, and like Brett Emerton, yeah, played on the right side, and him and David Bentley, you know, I knew they got a good crosser on the ball, so it was just to get in on the far post. So we had some good plays.
What was David Bentley like? Because he retired quite young, and at Blackburn he was absolutely brilliant. I know when he went to Tottenham he was in and out the team, but he was at Blackburn. He was a key player.
Yeah, he was at Arsenal first, and I think he had a little bit of a tough time down in London. And he came up to us, and lovely guy, you know. Didn't have too much confidence when he arrived, but the way Mark Hughes and the team took care of him and helped him, he came to be a key player, and he was a fantastic tribute to the team, you know, with his skills and his football and crosses. And I love to play with him. I think that was one of our strengths as well. We had two players on each side that could put the ball in, however, you know, situation we ended up in. So yeah, it was sad. I think it was sad that he actually left, because I think if he stayed at Blackburn for maybe a little bit longer, he could get more caps for England and get even more out of his career. But sometimes, you know, we get into big money and transfers and those kind of things. It's hard to say no as well, and I respect that. But he's one of the guys I really missed when he left.
You mentioned the fact that you miss him. I imagine you missed Rocky Santa Cruz as well when he left, because you mentioned earlier, I mean, we talked about Bellamy and Benny McCarthy, but Santa Cruz was another who obviously had a history in the game of playing for top teams, but at Blackburn again, he just, when you look at his career, that just seemed to be a real special moment for him.
Yeah, he came from Bayern Munich, and he was struggling a little bit with injuries, and he didn't get his career going like probably the way he wanted. And when he came to us, he got all the support he needed, and he got fit. And wow, what a player! You know, team player. He was good in the box. He ticks every box as a striker. So if you're going to put up a favorite team, is hard, because we need probably 3-4 strikers up there if we're going to put that up. The best Blackburn team, but he was sensational, and as a person as well. So yeah. And then he went to Man City and those kind of things in Malaga. So, yeah, had a fantastic career, and he deserved it.
I don't want to put you in a spot here, but when you were at Blackburn, you were playing very well. You'd watched McCarthy leave, you'd watched Santa Cruz leave, Bellamy and others. You were linked with some moves away as well. Ultimately, in the end, why did you choose to stay at Blackburn? Because you mentioned with David Bentley, I imagine it would have been tempting at times to maybe make that next step, especially when the interest was there.
Of course, I could have left Blackburn, and there was loads of speculation and rumours. But I always got a good offer from Blackburn, and we did really well. You know, we were fighting for European spots almost every year. under Mark Hughes and Sam Allardyce, but in the end, we lost too many players and we didn't strengthen enough. So unfortunately, we went down. But of course, I could have went to other clubs, but on the other side of it, I'm really proud to be a player that's been so long in one club and almost played every year. It's not many players that can do those kind of things, and so I have to say I'm a little bit proud of that.
As you know, you can probably tell from my accent, I'm from Scotland. A couple of times you were linked with moves to Celtic in Scotland. Was that something that was ever close?
Yeah, it was interesting. We were talking terms with them and all those kind of things, but in the end, I ended up staying at Blackburn. But Celtic is, of course, a club that would be fantastic to play for. You know, you get the Celtic and Rangers, so yeah, those two clubs are massive. And of course, Celtic Park is something that speaks for itself.
And in terms of Blackburn, I mean, Mark Hughes was an incredible manager at Blackburn. As you mentioned, those sixth place finishes, pushing for Europe, continually striving to improve. What was it like when he left, and how did you feel when he left? Because he was a manager who, as I say, got the best out of not only yourself but the team as a whole.
Yeah, it was tough because the boss is leaving. That's actually like the main man for the whole turnover, and but that's football. Like the players are leaving, manager not leaving as often if they not get sacked. But of course, he get a chance to go to Man City and try to win the league and those kind of things. So of course you understand that he wanted to push even more, but I think if he had a little bit more time at City, he would have won the league there as well. But unfortunately, he left. But I still have a really good relationship with him and the staff he had at Blackburn.
Paul Ince comes in. He has a short spell and then is replaced by Sam Allardyce. Now, again, you might correct me, but Sam Allardyce is known as being maybe a more defensive type manager. Did you find that at all when he came in, that you had to change your game at all?
Yes and no. Lots of people say he's defensive, but in the other way, he's quite attacking as well, because he wants to score goals on every opportunity, and he wants to get those margins your way. If you get a chance to get a free shot on target from 6 yards, he will take that opportunity. And set piece, we was the best team in the Premier League on set pieces by far under him, and we practiced it a lot. But people got afraid of us, and they're starting to tackle and get stupid free kicks in their own half, and we took advantage of that. So that you see more and more people do now. Set pieces is more and more important in the game, because people are so. You get all the scouts and all the things scouting the teams. You know exactly what they're gonna do. So it's an even more important part of the game now. Set pieces.
One of the things that you talked about set pieces, I've got to ask you about the free kick against Wigan, 40 yards out. Just how on earth do you decide to hit it?
Like I said, when you're wide, the perfect free kick is the one that's gonna go inside the far post. If nobody touches it, it's gonna go in, So, but sometimes you just have to gamble. You aim it for the far corner, and if it goes too low, then hopefully some of your players is gonna get a touch on it, and it's gonna go in. But of course, you in one way you're gambling, but on another thing you try to do the best for the team, and that was something I was really good at.
Under Sam Allardyce, the club finishes 10th, which was a good achievement. See, when you were at Blackburn, now they're a massive club, they'd won the Premier League in the 90s. What was it like for you when the big teams came to town, the likes of Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea? Because you seem to have a team that relished those occasions.
It broke up now, so I didn't hear anything.
Oh, sorry. So I was just saying, when the big teams like Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal came to Blackburn, as a team, you seem to relish those occasions, especially when you finished 10th under Sam Allardyce.
Can you repeat that, because it's breaking up?
Oh, sorry.
Can you take it from the beginning?
So when you were playing under Sam Allardyce, you finished 10th, and in that season, the big clubs like Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, they didn't like coming to Blackburn. What made you so eager to take the game to those teams?
I think first and foremost, we hardly lost every game at home under Sam Allardyce. It wasn't easy for anyone, and we didn't fear anyone to come to our stadium. And I think those, you can say, those top 4 or 5 clubs, they're fighting for the Champions League. They knew it's going to be tough to come there. You couldn't just come and get 3 points. They have to fight and work hard for it. And I think that's the reason we did quite well against those kind of teams as well, because we were looking forward to those games. They didn't really looking forward to the game because we were working hard. We had all the confidence and the fans behind us. So we had some really, really nice games against the top 4 clubs.
I want to ask you about a guy who turned up who played at Real Madrid previously, in Mikel Salgado. What was it like when he came into the dressing room? Is he a player you expected to see turn up at Blackburn?
Yeah, it's fantastic to meet those kind of players, and you can see why he played for Spain and why he played in Real Madrid and been in Champions League and all those things, because his winning mentality was unbelievable. On the other side, was a fantastic person. I learned a lot from him as well. So it's nice to see when you get the chance to see players so close, like in training, and even they get a little bit older, the way how they work, how they live outside football, and how you want to win, how you go to be that winner. So of course, for me, that was fantastic.
After Sam Allardyce, Steve Keane becomes manager. It was a really tough spell for the club. There was rumours of the takeover. The takeover happens. What was it like playing for Blackburn at that time when the fans were a wee bit disillusioned, not with you as players, but with the structure of the club?
It was tough times because, first of all, it's not fun when you're losing football games. I hate that. And when you're ending up to get relegated, that's probably my saddest day in my football career. It was tough. It's not fun at all. Many things happen, and the club was like the arrow pointing down, not up, and it was a tough time. But I think it's nice to see the club are on the way back up, because Blackburn is a really nice club. It's a family club, where people care about each other and all those things. So I was training with Blackburn for 2 weeks in January, and it was really nice to see, and I had that feeling that it's getting back to the right place where it should be and where it was before.
You mentioned the fact that relegation was one of the saddest days of your career, but overall, your time at Blackburn, you've just mentioned the fact you were back training with the club in January as well. Just sum up your other memories of the club, because it clearly was a time in your career that you're very fond of.
Do you have 2 days talking? No, no. It's so many good memories. Like the local derbies against Burnley. The first one we played in, I didn't realize actually how big the derby was. And when you can score the winning goals, in front of the away fans, and couldn't be a better day for me and for the club. So, and of course, beating Manchester United at Old Trafford, and I don't know, it was 50 odd years or something since the last time Blackburn had beaten them, and it's loads of nice memories playing in Europe, and we had really, really many good games and good memories. So it's fun when people sending over sometimes clips from the games, and you watch, so get a little bit of goosebumps.
And in terms of that spell, it was a spell, as you've just said, that meant so much to you and the fans. After Blackburn, why ultimately did you decide to go to Turkey? Because I imagine there would have been interest for you to stay in England.
Yeah, there was some clubs, you're talking about things, but for me it was hard to leave Blackburn, I'm going to be honest. But on the other side, it was like maybe try a new adventure, try something totally different from what I was used to. And I went for Turkey, and we did really well. We went into Europe with Karabükspor, and they'd never done that before, and we were beating Fenerbahce and Besiktas, and it was a really nice experience. But then, like Turkey, suddenly something just turns very quick, and you're out from the team, you're out from the club, and not even allowed to change in the dressing room. So the turnover was really fast in Turkey as well.
Turkey, as you say, an incredible experience and something completely different to playing for Blackburn. After Turkey, you decide to return home to Norway, but this time with Rosenborg. Was the decision to join a club like Rosenborg basically all about you going there to try and win the title, something that you've clearly always wanted to do?
Of course, that was one of my dreams when I was a young boy, when I played back home. And of course, first of all, the transfer window wasn't open other places in Europe at the moment. And of course, the thing to win the cup and win the league. And I think the biggest chance to do that was with Rosenborg. So it's fun to win the league and it's fun to win the cup. And but of course, it was a little bit strange to go back to Norway as well. But when I went back there, I wanted to show that I'm still a good footballer. I'm not going back home just to show off. I want to improve myself as a player, and I still do that. So, but that's football.
Just how much did it mean when you mentioned the fact you get to win the league and win the cup, especially being from Norway? Is that one of the proudest moments of your career?
Yeah, to win the league was probably the biggest thing. So because when I went to Blackburn from Tromsø, we were actually was leading by 7 points or something, 5 or 7 points on Rosenborg. So I think if me and some other guys was sold back in 2004, I think if we stayed, we would have won the league then. So I had to wait a few more years to get that chance, and that was really nice.
You win the league there, return to Tromsø, have a few years there before you join Alta. You're still playing there now at the age of 39. Just sum up what it's like to be playing close to your 40s. Have you got an ambition to keep going into your 40s?
Of course, my body is working fine, and I love playing football. I'm looking forward to every training. I love the training sessions and the games, and I'm lucky to do what I love to do. So I can't see a reason why I'm not going to do it. So as long as I'm fit and I feel like I can still contribute to the game, that's the most important thing. The day I feel I can't cope with the level, I will stop playing. But at the moment, things are working really well for us, and hopefully I'm going to stay nice and fit and can play for many more years. That's what I'm aiming for. But
I've got to ask, you absolutely do, and I want to ask you about your time with the national team, because it's something that I imagine you absolutely loved. Over 80 caps, as I mentioned. One of the things I begrudgingly have to mention, because I'm from Scotland, you scored 2 goals against us, which broke our hearts. Just what was it like playing for Norway?
Yeah, it was really, really nice. I think actually the Scotland game, actually away, is one of the most memorable games for me. First time at Hampton Park, and came out from half time, and the noise was just incredible. They were singing 500 miles, and it was like you just want to join in and sing, but you had to stay professional. But it was so loud and everything. But I still remember the Scotland game. I scored 1 in the first half, bending in the far corner. I won 1 set piece, 1 free kick. Of course, national team experience different countries, different kind of players, and unluckily I didn't get any tournaments. We've been losing, I don't know how many playoff games and those kind of things. So, but sometimes you can't get everything you want.
Well, that's the thing. Obviously, being from Scotland, trust me, I know what it's like to lose playoff games. We've not been at a tournament since 1998 when I was 3, so I'm hoping I can see that soon as well. In terms of the national team, who are the players that you played with, out with obviously your Blackburn teammates, etc., that really impressed you and you loved playing with the most?
In the national team?
Yeah,
of course, we had Brede Hangeland, John Carew, John Arne Riise, Eric Meyer. Actually played with Henning Berg as well. So, of course, those players that played on a high level is fun to play with. We had loads of nice players. We had a really good group in the national team that, like a good bunch of friends that played football together. So I always loved to play for the national team, and I was always looking forward to travel in there, even if it was a tight schedule back in the league. So But the national team is something special.
What was it like playing with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Because you mentioned the fact you get the box from him for the game against United. What was he like to play with? I know he was maybe coming towards the end of his career then, but still a talented player.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Clever play, he's so clever finisher. When you get the ball in the box, he's deadly. And one of the games we played together was Hungary away, and we both scored in the game. So good memory, and it's nice. He's a nice guy, but he's a deadly guy as well.
For you, how proud are you watching him, a fellow countryman, a former teammate, managing a club like Manchester United? How much does that mean to you and Norway as a country? It's
just to show that it's possible to come from a really small place in Norway and actually be in charge of one of the biggest clubs in the world. Like for myself, I'm coming from 1,000 kilometers inside the Arctic Circle from a small fisher place, and you can ending up playing Premier League football and international football. So it doesn't matter where you're coming from. It's in your head and what you want to aim and what you want to do. So I think it's really nice and hopefully going to do well. But he's in a tough he's in a tough job. So when you lose a few games, the seats get really hot. But when you're doing really well, everybody loves you. So it changed. Nothing changed faster than managers. So but hopefully you're going to do well. I wish him good luck.
We talked there also about Ollie coaching. Do you see yourself coaching and being a manager when you finish playing?
I'm doing all my badges now, so my next level now is I don't know what you call it in England, but I need to have a team to do the next level to be like involved as assistant trainer or coach or something. So I'm doing all my badges and I want to do them. So you never know. One day maybe I will be in charge of Blackburn. You never know.
you never know. And another thing I want to mention to you, I believe you were also in a boy band as well called The Players.
Yeah, that was quite funny because it was 5 players from Norway. It's called Soccer Against Crime. It was a charity thing, and they was doing loads of things. And they asked us if we want to like do a song and a music video, and of course we said yes. And that's probably one of my 3 funniest days in my life. To record in the studio, to make a video, and all those kind of things. So. And pretend to be on the stage in front of I don't know how many people to pretend you're singing and dancing. But I think it's nice to be outside the comfort zone as well to push yourself.
You mentioned your love of football. How much do you love watching football now, whether it be the Champions League, the Premier League, other leagues around the world? Because through this interview, it's clear that you just love the game.
I love football, and I watch some football. I'm not watching everything, but a good game of football is really nice to watch. And of course, if you get friends, so like now in Italy, we got Jens Petter Hauge went to AC Milan. It's fun to watch those kind of games, and of course, Zlatan is there. So, but it's fun to watch games that you maybe know someone. Or of course, when you get big games, that's always interesting. So, but when I get time to watch, I watch. But it's not like I'm running back home to watch a League One game or those kind of things. But if it's a good game on, it's nice to watch.
I'm very conscious of your time. Just before you go, a few quick fire questions. Best players you played with in your career?
I would probably say Tugay. What a player! It was a dream to play with him and as a person as well. So it's a player I learned a lot from, and he was just funny. But I think you could put him in every team in Europe on his prime time, and he will do ever so well.
Toughest opponent?
I always said we played Chelsea on Stamford Bridge away one game, and I think it was Bellini or something. He played right back.
Yeah. And
that day, I remember, things didn't work well for me, and he was on fire. And that day, I just felt he was, the hardest player I played against because nothing worked for me and everything, he's probably not the biggest name, but just for that game, that's the worst game I felt for me I had against a player.
Who would you say was the most underrated player you played with?
Good question. I don't know, to be honest. I haven't thought about that too much.
Or even
Yeah, I don't know.
if I think something differently, what about a player you played with in Norway who maybe isn't well known, particularly in the UK, but you think was a top player?
Yeah. We get loads of players that have been in Germany that don't get the same attention, like as the Premier League, those kind of things. But yeah, I think it's hard to say because in Norway it's a small country, so if you're doing well, for me, I read the newspaper, you can see lots of things, but I don't know. I wouldn't say any particular. There's always some players that not get the things that they deserve. That's football. If you're not there at the right time or the right moment, that can be the difference from be the one or not be the one.
A few questions away from football. Where is your favourite place to go on holiday?
Yeah, the Maldives is unbelievable. Really nice. You can relax and just do what you want. One of the best places I like to go is also back to where I got my cabin in the north. So just relax. Lots of snow, snowmobile. You can in the summertime you can go fishing. Yeah, I will say that.
Favorite sport outside of football?
What would that be? When I was young, I was playing handball. I was skiing. I was playing ice hockey. I'm into sport. I can watch everything. I think it's fun to watch. When people are good, it's fun to see when people really know what they're doing. So I don't know what to say there. It's like it's loads of sports, but I love sport, and especially when it's fun to watch people that are really good.
The last question I want to ask you is, based on your career, which is still going, as I mentioned, at the age of 39, you want to keep playing, you're still fit, you want to keep going, which I think is admirable. What advice would you give to any young players based on the career you've had?
I think it's important that, it's not, I don't know how I'm going to say it, but it's not the most important to be the best when you're 12 or 13, 14, I think if you can choose, be the best you can be when you're 25. You know what I mean? If you have to choose, because and it doesn't matter where you come from, but it's hard work. I've seen so many players that get the best. So the talent is so big, but they're not willing to do the hard work. And in the end, the people that are willing to work hard, they will beat the talent. And I've seen so many players like they are superstar, not super, but they are like the best players when they're young, and the other guy that's don't get the same attention, but he's working hard, and you see when they're getting old, they're getting 17, then you see the guy that be working hard just fly past the guy that had the talent, and the guy with the talent, oh, why didn't I get a chance? And that's because he wasn't willing to work as hard. So it's not like one recipe to succeed, but I think if you can work hard and you really wanna do what you're doing, that's a good thing. But practice is important. The more you practice, the better you will be. So it's better to practice with quality than quantity.
Brilliant, Morten. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being generous with your time, and I wish you every success.
Thank you very much.